Um, I like reading and whatnot. Maybe I'll keep this. All right. Good afternoon. So it is about a little after 8 on the East Coast. Um, and it's Friday. It is, at least in my city, the last day of school for public school. Said my goodbyes to my students and took a nap. Just woke up maybe an hour ago. And I was thinking about a video that I watched just last night before going to bed. So it was kind of like, I don't know, I was curious. So I do know of the actor Terrance Howard. And because I'm looking for the right kind of words. I've been mindful on my consumption of stimulation or media. Okay. And I've been not watching TV. Just straight say it. It's like I don't watch TV anymore. And so and it definitely don't pay attention to celebrity news or anything like that because I'm on my journey here, and I don't necessarily need that for um, regaining sovereignty and health for myself. And yes, I had no idea that Terrence Howard had kind of retired, I guess, for lack of a better word, from acting, and that he was actually a genius. Which again, I should not be surprised. Okay, I really shouldn't be surprised. And what I'm happy and excited about is for that reason that a lot of people who are in the creative world are smart, are multifaceted, you know, and come with maybe various types of intelligences. And it just baffles me that when I am doing what I do in the world, that a lot of people just think like, "Oh, you couldn't possibly be smart because you play music. Oh, you couldn't possibly be a musician because you're smart." So this is always very interesting to me, and how, at least in the Western world, they have us to believe that we should fit in a box, like literally a label, a box. You must be this. Because you look like this, you must be this, right? So again, caught myself slipping in that regard. So yeah, Terrence Howard is a genius. Okay. So I was, watching part of it, the interview with Joe Rogan, that, kind of don't necessarily want to say his name too much, but he really wasn't even talking that much. I'll just say that. He barely said a word for at least an hour or so before I ended up going to sleep. So it was all Terrence. He had a slideshow. So basically, okay, this is what I want to say. He is awake, Terrence Howard. Which again, I'm not surprised, and most of us should be like, oh yeah. He is also not holding back at this point with what he knows to be true. Okay. And I'm proud of him for that. He's not holding back. He has nothing to lose or everything to gain. Who knows? Right? So he was talking about his spiritual life and his ability, talked about making that connection with his son, which is beautiful. Um, he talked about his training and how really he only became an actor because he was, you know, kind of trailing with his brother, who was also into acting. But Terrence's passion was in science, right? And this is again makes my heart feel so great. Um, and I wish I could vibe off of somebody about why, right? So if you're out there, just saying, looking for those spiritual play cousins. Yeah. And yeah, so he started to go into the different aspects of humanity. Well, not even humanity, different aspects of the universe, basically. So he went into and I don't want to use too much terminology, so I'm trying to make this as like everyday language as possible. We all function, or we all know of everyday people, three states of matter, right? There's actually more, and I've said this before, but there's more. And that is where we're getting more and more into having these newer technologies available to us. So I talked about plasma, which is the sun, by the way, and how we use plasma now for television and things like that. But Terrance was already talking about the fifth element, for which I'd already told one of my students about. He's 8 years old, but he is twice gifted. Okay, he's a little mini, like seriously mini genius. But he was talking briefly on the fifth state of matter and how if we can really move through different, what can I say, properties of light. So we are basically all in, I mean, we say it in the spiritual realm, right? We are light. And now it seems like Terrance Howard is saying, yeah, we are. And this is how I can show you. We are light and sound and color all at once, right? And that's kind of where he's going with this. So it seems as though he is starting to recognize that the periodic table itself, with how they've labeled it, you can see how the number one that's listed, hydrogen, is the one, right? And again, I don't want to get too deep into the science until I listen back again. But what I really want to say is, again, I'm so excited. He's got a website of all things. And I went to the site. He's got a few patents out there. And he's encouraging people to step up, right? It's like science is not this elitist type thing. Spirituality is not this elitist type thing. We all come with gifts. And it's time for all of us to start activating those gifts. So yeah, that's what really excites me about it right now. He's making the connections. And I'm trying to find a way with my book that I'm working on, making those connections in a different way. So and again, I want to go back to the periodic table, because that was, again, something that I was showing my student the other day. Like, I was like, oh, I need to show you. And I did show him a video on how to balance equations. I don't want to talk too much about his personal scientific pursuits, my student, but he's basically looking for ways to sustain water, right? Okay, so I'm wishing him well out there with that. So I showed him how to balance equations. He had an idea about something, so I was like, okay, so I'll help you with that. So let me at least show you how to balance equations. I don't know if you have anybody in your vicinity. He does have at least another genius in his family, so maybe they can all connect or whatever. But I just, I offer the tools, right? And what is so wild about this periodic table is, I'm going back to Terrance Howard now. So he's basically saying how sound and light and our elements on the periodic table crystallize, vibrate into being. And he talked about sacred geometry a bit. So again, I was falling asleep. That was the kind of where I was like, in that. So I will definitely be listening to that again to get more notes, because I'm like, wow, you are on. Wow, I'm so excited. So for me, I'm on more of the practical application of all that there is to us, right? And in our wellness. So tuning our bodies basically, right? And I just was recently reminded about why um, drumming and certain kind of repetitive musics um, can entrap, no, I don't want to say entrap, entrance, yes, entrance people in their brain states. So I talked about how I was always very worried about how even me as a teenager back in the day talked about how I wasn't really too keen on gangster rap and stuff like that. And I would always ask classmates, like, why do you like this kind of music? And they would always respond, I like the beat. Okay, I like the beat. Now, let me say this. Most people are not aware that insurance policies don't give, I guess, full benefits of payment, like a lower payment, to people on insurance policies until they're at least 25. And there's a reason behind that. They know. They know that the human brain does not have that full executive state development until about that time, about 25. Okay? So that means your brain is still developing up until about your mid 20s. Developing, not degrading or anything like that unless you are having or experiencing some kind of illness. So they know this, the insurance policies or companies, because it's about the monies. Okay, so they know that. And if you listen to commercial music, I would like to think since what, the 80s. I mean, let's talk. I mean, we can go so deep with this that I, hadn't even anticipated. In fact, let me get some water. We can go deep in this because again, Terrance, you're starting something. You're opening up people's minds. Okay, so I can help connect those dots for folks. But yeah, wasn't it until the 70s, 80s when the government was working to find ways to, between the Cold War of Russia and the US, trying to find secret ways to control people? 70s, 80s. Okay? So all of that is important for you to keep in mind. And then when there was more of the gangster rap, so I would like to think most of us know that the government has strongly um, tried its best to bring unhealthy things into certain communities, unhealthy things into certain communities, okay? And I'm talking about food, water, pharmaceuticals, pollution, all of those things. I mean all of it. Okay? So they had, and then that also includes experimentation on minds and brains and people in public, right? So all of this is coming into play. So there's always ways to try to find to control the population. Of course, there was religion, government itself. Why not with the music, right? I mean, for me, I there is even debate about how music has degraded commercial music once the CD was used in masses versus like record playing. There is there is a secret battle in a lot of ways for our minds to keep us under, some kind of malleable state. There is a battle, and I was even on the phone with my mom today saying, yeah, we are having a war. It's a tech war. There is a cold war. A lot of people don't realize that we are under a war right now. yes, around the world there is that physical war, but there's also a war of the mind. There's we're under it right now. And I think there are a few of us out there that are trying to open up people's mind, open up their perspective to things so that they can be informed, basically. Like, inform yourself of what's in store out there. That's where we are. So for me, mine is in the wellness. How can we practically use all of these things that are all to or for our use and benefit, not for our destruction, to fortify ourselves, to help us move, to grow our sixth sense? We lost it, but we can regain it. So that's why I'm into making sure we have spiritual nutrition, that we no longer pollute our bodies. And I don't even ascribe to a certain thing because I don't think that's helpful either, because we're all made up of different things. Not everybody can eat everything, okay? And not everybody can tolerate everything. I'm just going to be honest with that. That is being so childish in thinking that everybody has to eat a certain thing to be spiritual or to gain a certain sense in their bodies. Like, no, you must take in account to all of it. Really, we got to start putting the science and the spirituality back together, basically. You know? That's what needs to start happening. And again, back to Terrance Howard, I'm telling you. I'm so excited. That's for I'm super excited, and like I said, I'm so glad I was able to parlay this information to my student on our last day of school together in second grade. And I believe, light up my phone. I believe that this is an exciting time to be alive. Maybe that we can respark some of our junk DNA that people keep talking about. um you know don't always listen to the news. Learn how to hear words, right? That's basically, if I were to help people, and I do my best to help others, learn how to hear what's really being said around words. And I'm going to, sorry, I shouldn't be checking my phone right now, but as it were, I do have, speaking of helping people. Mm, oh, I totally missed out a bunch of text. All right, so I totally was having all of these things that are on its way to happening. I'm super excited about. I really am. Super excited about. So speaking of my other pursuits, yeah, I'll be performing music in the next few weeks. Um, Going to be playing with one of my many, like like I don't have a lot of idols, but people I respect a lot, right? So I'll be performing with this person at the end of June, and maybe I'll talk more about it on this station or not. I don't know, but I have another YouTube channel for that music. Um, I tend to go on there live for gigs when I'm doing those. I'm still trying to figure out how to best do that, because doing it on my phone sometimes gets weird, and you know, yeah. So I'm still working those kinks out. But so yeah, so it's like, as a spiritual person, as a creative person, as a person who is hoping to open eyes of more people, I'm super excited about the work that Terrance is doing. And I want to get more into it. I want to take more notes. Um, as far as the other video I blogged about last week about sugar, again, all of this plays a part. So sugar has a chemical compound here. Um, okay, so let me get out of this. So what I'm looking for now is the chemical compound of sugar, and we could talk just the brief moment on that. So sugar itself can be addictive, and it feeds unhealthy, well, okay, no, I don't want to say unhealthy. So sugar is also a source of energy, not just for us as humans, but for fungi and other things that grow inside of us. Okay, so food source for those things. Okay, looking up chemical compound of sugar. Okay. I just want sugar. So they're asking sugar cane, all that good stuff. All right. Chemical. Oh yeah. Chemical compound of table sugar, also known as sucrose, is carbon 12, hydrogen 22, oxygen 11. Yeah. This means that each molecule of sucrose contains 12 carbon, I just read that, 22 hydrogen, and 11 oxygen atoms. Um, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. All of these things in itself are innocent, right? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Yeah, harmless in itself. But I wonder, it since it is such an easy food source for multiple species. That's really what I wanted to say. It's a food source for multiple species. That includes humans, plants, animals, uh, germs, mushrooms. Okay, just saying. And that was just table sugar. So I mean, there's other sugars too, but yeah. See, as I'm already getting sucked in. Sorry. Um, but I wonder if we can figure out how to neutralize the effects of sugar, which is, sugar in itself as a fruit, in fruit, is not a problem at all. It's just that we've overtaxed our bodies to the point where our insulin levels are up, our livers are getting basically turned into pate. Okay? That is pate, by the way, for those friends who don't know. That's when you fatten up a duck or a goose. Like, you give them everything, throw basically every food in the world at them to eat, and they get fat. Their liver gets fat, and when they are butchered, people consume the pate, right? And yeah, so our livers are being completely, like, pateed and we're feeding fungi. And again, which is not necessarily a problem, but maybe the wrong kinds, right? And not necessarily healthy for us. Maybe for the fungi. Oh goodness. And yeah. So okay, so I'm also gonna tell you my plans for the summer too. So yes, I'm telling you about the music, playing the music. You'll see me do some lives um, with the gigs. You'll also probably see me doing work with me's, study with me's, because I would love to share the things that I'm studying more. Like last year, I went to a conference and it was amazing, and I still I debriefed myself coming back from that teaching. It was about how we can use meditation to bring up our kundalini, our cerebral fluids up into our brain so that we can start to activate more of our spiritual body parts. And that was last year. So I need to go back over my notes and stuff like that. But I totally want to do like vibe with me's, study with me's, uh, work with me's, because I'm trying to find a way to make this easily consumable for people who are curious and they're not quite sure how to understand their bodies and their potential. Okay. we talk about this word manifest, and to me, manifest is starting to become more of a word that we are overusing and not really fully understanding what it means. Manifest means just bringing something into being. Is, when you think of, okay, and this is from, okay, I'm going to start noting some books. So from uh, the Ninth Insight, I believe, that book talked about how our thoughts become things, right? I mean, I'm sure there's other books that do that as well, but for some reason, the Ninth Insight reminded me of that. But our mind is number one before it becomes a thing. Like before we have paper, somebody had an idea. The idea is the energy, the spark, the thing. And when we talk about manifesting, you got to have the idea first, right? But then there's the battle. There's the hero or heroine's journey coming through with that. Some that's that's what I call it. In movies, in stories, the hero's journey has been told to that person. And I don't know, I feel like that could be flexible. We can come up with our own hero's journey. So if we're looking to make our lives better, to make a difference in the world, we're going to be looking to prepare ourselves for our own hero or heroine's journey and be able to manifest. Okay. So manifesting to me means you have an idea for your life or whatever it is that you're looking for in your life, and you are going through the process. So I have my board here, for which I think I need to just go ahead and erase it. Like, it's been up like this for so long. But in order to manifest, one of the things I have here, let me take it off and say, this says know yourself. Know who you are. Because a lot of times people have been robbed of the ability to know who you really are through religion, through school, through family, because we've all been through it. Okay, but if you're on this journey to know who you are, to be able to have, I don't want to say control, to have ability in the say so of the runnings of your life. Choice, basically. You got to know who you are. Okay? So know who you are. And so this is where it starts to get sticky. So the next post that I have here, I know it's backwards, sorry. It says believe in yourself. Because what's going to happen is people are going to start coming at you with all of their fears and all of their misfortunes and all of their concerns about why you should just stay where you are, be small, dim your light, block your shine, all of that. So you got to have that self-belief, that self-care, that self-love, all of that to help yourself. And that is to me, that's the hero's journey. So when we start doing inner work and we start doing mirror work and we start reparenting ourselves, so I'm using a lot of these modalities that we need for a better life. Introspection, reflection, meditation, all of these things, biohacking, all of these things. We need them all. Okay? So again, I'm saying these things. Okay, next on my board is motivate. Okay? A lot of times people mix up the motivate with, well, the first two steps are not even there in most people's world. So they think, oh, I must be motivated. But what if your serotonin and dopamine have been hacked? You're not going to be motivated, right? If you, for example, we ladies, right? If we're on certain parts of our cycle, we're not motivated, okay? We're not. If you are, what is called clinically depressed, you're not going to be motivated. Your hormones are saying they're not going to be motivated. So a lot of times, if we don't even know about these first two things, we wouldn't even know that, hey, we need to probably eat better, probably need to meditate more, probably need to journal. That in itself is the motivation. You're preparing yourself for what you need to be doing so that you can, sorry, and this again where a lot of people um, kind of fall off because they don't realize the first two steps. Be consistent. Be consistent. This is where your habits come into play. You have to start evaluating your habits, go deep into the inner work and discover why. Okay, something made me. So, okay, let me just, before I get too far down the road here, you are already following these four steps, but they have been hijacked. Somebody else told you who you are instead of you knowing yourself. Somebody else has taught you to go believe somebody else before you believe your inner truth. Okay? So that when it comes down to the motivation, oh, I've got to listen to my teachers and my preachers and my doctors and my lawyers because they told me this is what I have to believe. Your motivation is hijacked by these entities, these institutions that you had no say so on if they are truth for you or not. Now, some of this, now I'm not saying we live in a world of nuance, and that's something else once you've come to my channel to realize. I don't live in this world of black and white. It must be this or that. No, there is nuance. So even as I am saying things not necessarily in the best of light for religion or education or government, does not mean that there is not some goodness in it. Okay? There is some goodness in all of those things. All of those things. We just need to know how to have discernment in those things. So, yeah, so too many times we are told by the powers that be that you must trust us, listen to us, we'll help you, we'll protect you. Okay? And so your motivation comes from believing in them and what they have told you. Right? And then you can't be consistent because they are in control of how you think in the first place. With things like, well, again, back to the religion, back to education. So they've kind of, yeah, hijacked you. You have to unravel. Nothing, in the end, one of the things I grew up knowing is that nothing is really promised to you. That's a Buddhist teaching. If once you start having expectations, that's when your I guess I don't know, I don't want to say motivation, but you start to suffer and you get trapped in the suffering. All of this, some of this, not all of it, but some of this is designed for the trap, that you stay where you are, that you dim your shine, right? Back to what I was saying. And let's see, I'm looking at where a lot of my other notes are. Some of those are just, ooh, yeah, people's names. Um, I also always talk about emotional intelligence because that influences your hormones. Again, back to the believe in yourself and not let somebody else get into your head. Okay? Not let somebody else get on your nerves, right? We say these things. We want to make sure that we are in control of us, of yourself. And let's see what else. Know what you really want. You'd be surprised how many people don't know what they really want in life. They've been told to wear a certain kind of clothes, to listen to a certain kind of music, to go do a certain kind of job to be successful. And once they start to, do those things, they realize they don't have the happiness that they were promised, then that's where people have those crises in their lives. You know? So yeah, so I definitely want to do more work with me, study with me, vibes with me, gigs with me, all those things live. And I'm going to go ahead and end this live. So I hope that a lot of you are going to watch the playback a bit. But this is my copy of the Kabbalion. So I've kind of put I put the bird on the cover here. Is basically I took some wallpaper, like a book cover, because usually I like to, when I'm reading, read in public sometimes, or go to parks and things like that. So, and travel when I'm traveling. So if I'm like in the airport, I think, yeah, that's when I covered it. I was on a flight somewhere. And I thought about it. I was like, I really don't want to have a conversation with anybody sitting next to me about the Kabbalion or what it is, or try to, when really I'm trying to enrich myself at that point, right? So this is my copy of the Kabbalion. And I would love to go back over that online with like a study as well. So I'm going to work on my schedule for this summer. We don't have a long summer, and I do have news. I've also been offered um, a position to mentor new educators. Okay, that's a big deal. So I'm excited to be able to do that. Like, it's interesting where people ask, like, don't you want to be a principal? Don't you want to be a vice principal? Things like that. It's like, no. What I want to do is to keep the learning growing. Okay, and it's interesting that my first group of kids are probably 28, 29 years old now. When I first started teaching, they're almost 30 years old at this point. Um, so yeah, so the teaching and the learning and the growing, and that is our superpower on so many levels. So yes, I want to work on a lot of different projects, and sometimes the only way to get it done is to get it done in public, right? So publicly on this channel, um, seeing the work being done. And I'll, like I said, go back through my chapters. We'll debrief. If you are interested in kind of like asking me questions about the Kabbalion, because I'll start with that first. And I kind of want to do it daily just so I can get it done, because I am a fast reader. And then I'm kind of also uh, obligated to other professional development for the day job. So that's kind of another reason why I'm like, if we can get this done. So there are 15 chapters. Okay. There are 15 chapters. Maybe I'll just pop around with it. Maybe if you're interested in me going into, if you've all, this is for the people who've probably already read the Kabbalion right now. But if there's a chapter that you want me to go more in depth with, I'll pluck it out of the line. But for those people who don't know anything about the Kabbalion yet, I will start from the start. Okay, I will go through the history of the Kabbalion, um, and I guess even the theory around it. So some people, like, it was written. Okay, this is funny. So it was written, I think, at the turn of the 20th century, but the way that it was written makes it seem like it was some ancient text. So who knows? It may be. I don't know. So that's also those times where, unfortunately, a lot of the colonizers um, were, doing what they were doing. Imperialism was big. So a lot of what people are calling expansion around the world, only in the viewpoint of the Western world, that they were treasure hunting, that kind of stuff. So who knows? Maybe somebody did find an ancient text and they were holding it back, and then they decided, I want to rewrite it for modern times. Who knows? I don't know. And yeah. So I'm gonna, yeah, it's starting to get dusk now. And yeah, I'll see you. I know it's crazy light, but whatever. I like it. I don't know. Well, maybe I like coming back over here. Like I can't be at my desktop over there, but I can be in the in the classroom, as they say, as I call it, my classroom. All right. With that, I say take care. Bye.